Brokerage firms, they are the intermediary between the shipper, the customer, and the carrier, the trucking companies. The shippers who have freight that needs to be moved, the trucking companies have the capability to move that freight. Now, one of the big things that trucking companies, one of the misconceptions, because it really is a misconception, is basically that a lot of truckers don't know how brokers make money. They assume, they've been assuming how brokers make money. Now, I'm not saying that some brokers don't cheat truckers, or some brokers do, okay? But the vast majority of freight brokerage firms operate the way they're supposed to operate. And the vast majority of owner-operators, small trucking company owners or owner-operators, they really don't know how brokers make money because they assume that brokers are taking their money off of their lane rate. That is so far from the truth. That is not the case, okay? Brokerage firms, when they join load boards and things, that they join under a brokerage subscription. And brokers have different tools and resources to load boards and their CNTMS and things like that, that the regular trucking companies as a carrier don't have. And one of those tools is called a lane rate calculator. Now, what is a lane rate calculator? A lane rate calculator is basically a tool that brokers use to see what the lanes are supposed to be paying to trucking companies. In other words, if I go and I look up a lane rate on one of the lane rate calculators and I put in a pickup location, Dallas, Texas, and it's dropping off in New York City, New York, it's going to tell me that lane for a drive-in truck or a flatbed truck or a reefer truck, whatever truck I put in, it's going to tell me in the last 90 days, okay, 500, 600, 700, 1,000 trucks ran that exact same lane with a drive-in trailer. Or 800 trucks ran that exact same lane with a flatbed trailer. Or 600 trucks with a reefer ran that lane with a reefer trailer. And it's going to tell me what those lanes paid those truckers. It's going to tell me what the rate per mile and what the all-in rate was for those trucking companies that ran that lane. This is stuff that we as brokers have access to. Okay, because all that stuff, believe it or not, is tracked. Every time a truck picks up a load and delivers it and what it was paid for it, it is tracked. And there's a record kept of it. So what that tool does, it extrapolates all those trucks that ran that lane with that type of trailer and what they were paid. And it's going to give us as brokers three numbers. It's going to give us a low average for what that lane paid to those truckers, a mid-range average, and a high average. The low average may be that, those trucks that ran that lane the last 90 days, on average, on the low end, they got paid $3.75 per mile. Mid-range average, you can say, well, a good portion of those trucks, majority of those trucks got paid, $4.10 per mile. And then they may say that a few of those trucks, maybe 15 or 20 of those trucks out of that 600, 700 trucks, got paid $5.90 per mile or $6 per mile, whatever it could be. That doesn't mean that one or two of those trucks didn't run that lane for $2.25 a mile. Doesn't mean that one or two of those trucks didn't run that lane for $8 a mile. But the average, when it averages all that out, it gives them an average of what that lane pays. Okay? Y'all give me just a second here. I got somebody who's on the phone here. This is Calvin. How can I help you? Yes, ma'am. Yes. No, if you're finding freight for that lease owner operator has been given the authority to find his own freight. All right. What you're gonna do is you're gonna give that lease owner operator that information, right? He's gonna probably set you up to where you can send that information directly to his dispatcher over at CXRT. Okay. They are going to then take that information and put it in a Qualcomm and send it back to him, right? Because he's probably getting paid 70% of the load fee. That's probably his contract or something like that. So they're going to send him a Qualcomm back for his 70% of the load fee. Your 10% dispatch fee is going to be based on that 70%. That's all it is. No, you send him the carrier package. He will have them fill it out and he'll send it back to you. Something like that. Okay? All right. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Sorry about that, you all. I just fulfilling because as you all know, I serve as a mentor to 860 maybe plus dispatchers who are part of our national dispatchers network, and to another 200, 300 brokers who are part of our network. So, I get people calling me all the time to ask me for advice. So that's what I do. That's what they pay that $39.95 per month for, to have access to me so I can give them that valuable advice. So that's what I do on that. All right. So let's get back to these lane rates. All right. So the carrier is paid a certain rate on these lanes. Like I said, that doesn't mean that the carrier is not paid. Some of those trucks will not pay, $5, $6, $7 per mile, and some of those trucks will ran that lane for $2, $2.25, $2.35. It's just saying that the average, when you average them out, the majority of those trucks ran those lanes somewhere in the neighborhood of that 340, 440, and 550, or whatever that lane rate is. Okay, so when we look at it, it gives us all three of those lane rates: a high, mid, and a low. And then it gives us an average lane rate showing what all combined. It gives us a 30, a 90-day lane rate with those trucks were paid in the last 90 days that ran that lane, a 60-day lane rate, a 30-day lane rate, and then it gives us the average of what is predicted to be over the next 7 to 14 days. Okay, these are tools that we have access to that regular truckers and trucking companies don't have access to, because we pay more money to access these low. But like your access to a 123 maybe $39, our access to a 123 is $99 a month, because we have these extra stuff that we have to have in order to operate. Now, with that being said, when we reach out to a shipper, we say, Mr. Shipper, we see here that you've got 50 loads that runs each week in this lane, and you got 100 loads that run a week in this lane, and you've got 20 loads that run each week in this lane, and you've got 10 loads that run each day in this lane, 5 loads that run each day in this lane, 2 loads run each day in this lane. And the shipper said, give me a quote on what you can move that freight for in those lanes. The reason why the shipper is talking to the broker to move that freight, because brokers have contracts with mass number of carriers who have a mass number of trucks. Like this brokerage firm right here, Haul Aboard Logistics. We have contracts and we have access to more than 140,000 trucks. Okay, that's what shippers are looking for. Brokerage firms that have that mass number of trucks that they can pool upon to move their freight. So when we go to the shipper and say, Mr. Shipper, we got 140,000 trucks that we can pool upon to move your freight all across the United States. And we like to get a contract for us to move these trucks that move this freight that you have in these lanes. Shipper's okay, well, go ahead and send us a quote on what you can get that move for. So what we do is we go and we pull up those lane rates, and we look at those lane rates. Now, if the lane rate is showing us that the average lane rate was paying, let's say, $4 per mile, okay? And let's say that we're looking at a lane that's running 50 loads per week or 100 loads per week, and that lane is traveling, 1,800 miles. So that's $4 per mile times 1,800. So basically, that lane is telling us that the truckers that ran that lane got paid on average $7,200. That's the carrier's money. We don't touch that money. If the lane rate says that's what it is for the carrier, that's the money that the carrier gets if we work out a deal with the shipper. All right? So that's the carrier's money. That $4 per mile for them 1,800 miles, that is the carrier's money. That's not the broker's money. All right? What brokers do, we get to negotiate a margin. The margin is our money. It's not the carrier's money. The carrier don't have no rights to our money. We don't have no rights to their money. Their money is the lane rate. Our money is the margin. Okay? So on that $4 per mile, we go to the shipper and say, Mr. Shipper, okay, the lane rates are showing, the average lane rate is showing that lane pays carriers $4 per mile. The shipper says, okay, yeah, I agree with that. I see the lane rate, because shippers have that too. They say, yeah, I agree with that, because they see some of it's a little bit higher, some of it's a little bit lower, but we've determined that the midline lane rate was $4 per mile. Now, Mr. Shipper, because we have 147,000 trucks that we can put to help you move freight within those lanes and other lanes that you have, we're going to need, for us to move that much freight in those lanes, we're going to need about a 15% margin. So we take that $4 per mile and we do plus or times 15%. My computer set up to do it on the plus 15%, right? So that gives us what? 60 cents per mile. 0.6, 0.6, that's 60 cents per mile on that $4. So that means the all-in rate is $4.60. $4 for who? The carrier, the trucking company. That's their money. The 60 cents per mile is our money. Carriers do not have any rights or obligations, or they're not supposed to be touching our money, and we don't touch their money. The $4 per mile is theirs. The 60 cents is ours because we negotiated that. Okay, the lane rate is determined by the market. We don't determine the lane rates. Shippers don't determine the lane rates. The lane rate is determined by hundreds of millions of things. The economy, the price of fuel. If there's a war in a country where we're getting most of our fuel from, or pipelines coming through and we don't have access to it. The climate, disasters in certain areas which causing this to go up and that to go up. Pandemic, sicknesses, forest fire, climate change, homelessness, job loss, all that stuff. Who's the next president? All that stuff goes into determining what the economy is doing, and the economy determines the lane rate. We have nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with what that lane rate is. All we do is we look it up, and it tells us what it is. So for all you carriers out there, all you trucking companies out there, all you owner-operators out there who think that brokers have anything to do with what the lane rates are, we don't. We don't. The only thing we control is our margin, and that's ours. That's for us. We don't touch your money. If the lane rate says that you are to be that lane pays $2.50 per mile, that's about what you're going to get, $2.50 per mile. Now the broker has at his discretion, okay, to offer you some of his money to help you to be a little bit more profitable in that lane, but that's at our discretion. I'm under no obligation to give you what's mine, just like you want to give me what's yours. This is how this really works. For those of you who are assuming that brokers are taking your money, brokers don't. Well, legitimate brokers, the brokers who are doing business the right way, like us, we train all of our people, all of our franchises, brands are trained to do the same thing. We are trained to negotiate margins. We don't touch your lane rates. Your lane rate is your lane rate. Okay, during the pandemic, the lane rates were high. Before the pandemic, they weren't so high. Now that the pandemic is over, the lane rates are going back down to about what they was before the pandemic. So what you all are seeing now is just a correction. The industry is just correcting itself. Brokers don't have nothing to do with that. We don't have anything to do with your lane rates going down. Shippers don't have nothing to do with your lane rates going down. They don't determine that. Nobody determines that except for outside forces that control the economy, the economic structure of the world. Okay? So we don't control your lane rates. We don't take money from your lane rates. We negotiate with shippers to pay us to move freight in the lanes that they need the freight moved in. So our cut is 6%. This is the basis for how brokers get paid, or how I'm going to show you how our franchise owners, our branch agency owners make their money. So our cut is 0.60%. It's 60 cents per mile. So on a lane that's going 1,800 miles, that times 1,800. So that means our broker's fee is $1,080. Now, can the broker at his discretion, or the franchise owner, or myself, who is the chief operations officer, the brokerage firm, I can look at that and say, okay, well, I got a truck that they got high expenses, and I can help them out. I can add another $200 to their rate and take $200 less on my rate and help them out a little bit. I have that discretion, but that is totally at my discretion. I'm not obligated to do that. I'm not obligated to do that. Y'all give me a second here. Here again, I got to fulfill my obligation as a mentor. This is Calvin with RBBS. Hello, this is Calvin with RBBS. Hey, how you doing? That is marvelous. Okay, well, thank you so much. You all are doing a great job over there, 123 Low. All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye. All right, as y'all can tell, that was 123 Low Board. Calling me back. Because we're setting up our new franchise on. We got some new franchise. We got like 3 new franchise owners that came on here in the last couple of days. So we're setting them up. I'm getting them all set up and everything. So that was just 123 calling me back with their login information and stuff like that. All right. So here we go. I, as a broker, at my discretion, can give up some of my money. That's not the truckers' money. Truckers' money have their money. Their money is $4 per mile. My money is 60 cents per mile. Okay, I have that discretion to give up some of my money to them if I so choose to, but I'm not obligated to do so. And you as truckers, you shouldn't really want me to give up what I have earned. I earned that through my negotiations. Okay, I don't control your lane rates. I have no control over your lane rates. All I can control is what I negotiate for the shipper to pay me on top of what the lane rates are already have allocated to you, the carriers, to move freight in those lanes. Now, if I choose to, I can give up some of that money. Like when y'all call up a broker and you ask the broker, well, Mr. Broker, is that the best you can do? And the broker said, well, let me check. What the broker is doing, he's checking to see how much margin he has, how much money he has negotiated for his end, and see if he can afford to give you any of that money. So when you go to a broker and you say to a broker, Mr. Broker, is that best you can do? The broker comes back and say, well, I can do another couple $100, but you all should really thank that broker. Because he is going into his pocket. He's going into his pocket and saying, look, man, here, I know you got some things going on. I don't have a whole lot, but here, I'm gonna give you this extra $200 here. Here you go, man. No, here you go. Take that from me. No. You're taking money out of what he needs to feed his family to help you feed your family. So you really should thank him instead of you all going around, badgering brokers because y'all think that they're taking your money. Brokers don't take your money. Okay, we don't have anything to do with your race. No, sir, no how. Now, do some brokers do that? Yes, some brokers have been known to do that, but the vast majority of brokers have been operating legitimately the way they're supposed to operate. This is how I've been training brokers since 2015. This is how I've been running brokerage firms that I ran since 2016. Okay? This is how I train our franchise owners and our people who work in those franchises, because most of our franchise owners, they don't want to have nothing to do with running the firm. They let us take over it and run it for them. All right. So this is how they make their money. So $1,080 is what we get on, in that scenario, 60 cents per mile. If we decide to give up $200, right? We'll give that up, add that to whatever the carrier is getting, and we'll take $880. Okay, if we decide to. Okay, but we're under no obligation to do so. All right, so the $880 is what's called the broker's fee. Everybody in the brokerage firm gets paid from the broker's fee. Now, remember, we said that in this lane, there was 50 loads that need to be ran in that lane. But let's say we're only moving 25 of those loads each day. We're not moving 50 loads, we're moving 25. Even though we probably got the capacity to move 50, but let's just cut it down to half that. Because remember, we're going to hire and train in each branch. We're going to hire and train for each franchise branch owner 25 to 30 salespeople. Okay? The average freight broker agent books 8 loads a day by himself. Just one freight broker agent on average books 8 loads per day. All right? But we're going to have 25 to 30 salespeople working in your branch. Let's say they only book 1 load a day each. Just 1 load, not the average 8, but they only book just 1 load a day each. So that's, in this scenario, that's $880 times 30. You got 30 people working in your branch. That's $26,400 per day. That's what the total amount of money is coming into the brokerage firm. Now, out of that, you got to pay those people. Okay, but besides that, your cut as a franchise owner a branch agency owner, your cut is 24.75% of all broker fees and all dispatch fees that are coming out of your branch. Right now, we're just focusing on broker fees. Okay, so that's 26,400 per day minus 24.875%. So that means your cut as a agency owner, a freight broker, franchise agency owner, we call it Board Logistics, or one of the other brokerage firms that we manage. So we're setting up this franchise component for all the brokerage firms that we manage. Okay, your cut would be $6,567. That's yours. That's your money going in your bank. Okay, your salespeople and everybody else is paid out of what's left out of that 26,400. So, but your cut is $6,567, right? Then we got another 19,000, and then everybody else cut is coming out of that right there. But your salespeople being paid is coming out of that, right? So there you have it. You're getting that $6,567 in that scenario. That's $6,567 if only each one of your salespeople, each one of your 30 salespeople just booking one load per day.